On it goes before it gets onto another cycle. Hi guys, how you doing? Nick Jennison from Guitar Interactive and GI Plus. It's Monday, says so down here, so it must be true. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and talk about the guitar. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you've had a great weekend. Hope you found some time to practice your guitar over the last few days. Last week we had a really great stream talking about some picking technique. We held a vote in the comments section. We're going to do more stuff on picking, but we held a vote in the comments as to what today's topic will be. And as I'm sure you guys can tell from the description down here, we are doing left-hand technique. Left-hand technique often gets kind of like lumped in with legato technique. Specifically, we're going to do legato in another stream. This is going to be some fundamentals for left-hand technique, but we'll get to that. So, want to wish you. I want to say thanks for tuning in. It is great to have you guys on board. If you're a first-time viewer, hey, thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure. Great to have you along. If you were one of our returning or I guess one of our consistent members of our little streaming community, it's always lovely to have you. We're going to tune in to the stream in just a second. We'll see how everybody's getting on. A couple of ways that you can help us keep the lights on over here at GI Streaming Towers. You can do a few things. First of all, the best thing you can do if you're enjoying these streams and you want more, you can go to this URL down here, guitarinteractivemagazine.com/GI-plus, Plus, the word, where you can go and get some more guitar lessons. And I say more, oh my god, so many guitar lessons. You've no idea. GI Plus members, we have a bunch of them in the stream. You guys always report back to me that you're getting so much use out of the lessons, and that warms my heart. I absolutely love that. So if you are a GI Plus subscriber, do me a favor, drop in the comments what you're working on right now, which course you're picking your way through. There's some really, really great stuff that goes along with these particular streams that we're doing, these technique fundamental ones. One of the real sleeper courses that I don't think people know about I certainly don't talk about enough is Back to Basics by Lewis Turner. There's some really great stuff in there. We'll maybe talk about that a bit later on. So yeah, you want to help us out, you want to kind of help us keep the lights on and also get some great value guitar lessons that are going to change your playing, revolutionize your playing. You know where to go. The URL is down here. Also, you can give us a thumbs up or a like on whatever platform you're watching this on. You can share this with your guitar playing friends, and of course, if you have questions, drop them in the comments, because we're going to be answering your questions as this stream goes on, and we're also going to have a dedicated Q&A session a little bit later. But before we do, let's just tune in with the stream. Let's see how everybody's getting on. We are going to take a look at Marcin's first through the door. What a surprise. Kel surprise. Marcin first through the door. Hi guys. Hi Nick, hi guys. Got my RG out tonight and I am getting ready to rock. Pleased to hear it, man. I love me some RGs. I started my guitar playing career in an RG. No, that's not true. I had an Ibanez Blazer when I was very young, which is like an Ibanez Strat copy from the 1980s. It's very cool, great guitar. My first, like, I guess, proper guitar was an RG 550 that I just cherished. And by cherished, I mean abused, right? Absolutely wore through this thing. I still have it. It is a monument to how much practice I put in when I was a kid. Single-minded dedication, I guess. But yeah, I love some RGs. There's a lot of Ibanez love in the comments. We'll highlight that as we go on. David Yates is also debating whether he should play his RG or his AZ. Interesting question, man. They're both great. I love AZs, but I think for me, I don't know, man. The RG shape has a place in my heart, I think. So I would RG if I were you. I think that's what's going on. David has agreed to RG. We're into that. Sacred Godslayer, RIP Nick's glasses. They won't be forgotten. Rest in peace. Yeah, man, my glasses. Oh, wow. So the latest video that came up with Andon's, you saw the moment that my glasses were destroyed. Oh, no. It was by Oz, the cameraman, the editor. Oz is a really lovely dude. He absolutely did not mean to trample on my glasses, and bless him, he was so apologetic. Lovely, lovely guy. I have a spare pair. It's fine. I'm wearing them right now. And I haven't gone for an eye test because I'm a man and we don't do these things. We go, oh, I'll do it another time. And I have my partner Nina kind of like pestering me, going, go for an eye test, and I really should. So yeah, RIP Nick's glasses. I took it like a champ. He's a gentle giant. Hey, what can I say, man? I am. There are worse things in the world than having any glasses stood on. So yeah, if it happens to me, you could have heard me cussing from the orbital space station. You know, man, we've had worse. I did have to glue them back together for the drive home, which was interesting. So that was kind of fun. He didn't see a problem, Marcin. Jeez, that's a pun and a half. Who else? Yeah, Four Cornishes in the house. Hello, friends. Can't use my RGs. It's tuned to E-flat standard. So I'll use my soloist with SD Invaders. Very slept-on pickup, the old Invader, right? People don't give it enough love. I remember when the Invaders were kind of a thing in the early 2000s with the massive pole pieces. There was a lot of hate on the old Invader. I think they're killer. I like an Invader. Surprisingly good lead guitar pickups. There's a lot of kind of harmonic information in the mid-range that really helps with that kind of like singing sustain with a lot of gain. You wouldn't necessarily use them in your Peter Green tribute act, but you know, hey, it's a soloist with Invaders. You know, it says what it does what it says in the tin is the word. That's what we're looking for. So yeah, who else do we have in the comment? Yeah, you should definitely use that guitar. It's a great guitar by the sounds of it. PJ is in the house. Good evening, Nick and all, and congratulations, Marcin, on a whole month first through the door. That's true. Some freebie Elixir polywebs. Maybe we'll do another giveaway with Elixir soon. Who knows? They're a kind bunch. They like to give away strings. Justin Ray's in the house. Says, hey, let's have an awesome one tonight. They're all awesome, but still, Justin, that's really kind of you to say. I think we're going to have a good one tonight, man. I think we're going to have some breakthroughs for some people, which is what we like. We had some really killer breakthroughs for folks last week on the stream when we were talking about picking. If you missed that one, you can go and check that on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel. These are all available on the replay. We have like, I don't know how many hundreds of hours of content that we've done for you guys live for free because we love you and we want to help because we think guitar playing is something that folks should be able to enjoy, and if we can demystify the guitar playing process a little bit, or even just hang out for an hour and talk about the guitar, that makes me happy. So yeah, chuff, man, thanks. Who else do we have? The reward is being here with you guys. You guys have been really kind. Reward is being here with you guys. Oh, it's lush, man. That's really nice. What else do we have? Let's see. We got some great comments regarding some pieces to play with. Suggestion for your hand, says Cowcat. Acoustic intro riffs from Van Halen's Take Your Whiskey Home. That's a great way to try and get some of that Van Halen swagger into your playing. Yeah, that's very, very cool. Really into that. Really, really into that. This is a lovely comment, by the way. And there's another lovely comment, too. I'm going to highlight this one because this really made my heart warm. It's lovely. PJ says, my playing's improved more in the past 12 months with Nick than the previous 25 years. I am going to write that on my CV. That's really cool, man. I really appreciate that. Very kind. And more importantly, I'm over the moon that we could make some progress together. That's really cool. Really, really cool. Who else do we have? Sacred Godslayer. Sorry, I don't drink. I don't know whose whiskey is. Do you know what? Like, I don't drink either. Used to. It's not like a weird thing. I really like to train. And I found that my options are either eat lots of delicious food or drink, and I'm like, I'd rather have delicious food. So it's not like a never thing, but yeah, I don't drink either. It's a weird training thing. Ironically, I started training because I like beer, and I wanted to be able to have beer and not get really, really fat, and now here we are. Who knew? Kim's in the house. Kim's great to see you. I'll be down in the studio in a couple of weeks. We'll get to hang out. That'll be very cool indeed. Keith MOF is in the house. Who else do we have? David Reese is here. Cranky Tom is playing an LTD 256 Distressed Gold Top. That sounds like a stunner. Man, that's really, really great. If you could post comments in the post pictures in the comments, I'd love to see, but I don't think you can. But you can post pictures in our private Facebook group, which is the Guitar Interactive GI Livestream Hub, which you can find on Facebook. Links will be posted in the comment section, so go get it. Post us a comment there. We'd love to see it. Kim's playing this ATZ, which I had the pleasure of reviewing not that long ago. Great guitar, really, really nice. Andy Timmons does not put his name on bad stuff. Let's just throw that out there. Mike Seedorf is in the house, as is Steve Ford, who sent me some great playing a couple of weeks ago. Steve, that's really kind of you to send that across. If you guys want to send me some playing, I would love to see it. If we can, we'll feature it, but we'll work on that. Colin Padley says, great playing. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate that. Steve McDee's in the house. Thomas Ross is in the house. Our friend Panu is in the house. Pabuxides, I think it's pronounced. Could be wrong. I'm very bad at pronouncing names, let alone complex Greek names, even though I'm distantly Greek myself. I should be better at it. Who knows? Sacred Godslayer is working on the ultimate guide to melody and phrasing. That is my favorite course, right? I love putting that course together. It's kind of the course that launched the whole GI Plus ship, really. I'll maybe tell you that story another time. Who else? Fretting hand thumb is all over the place. Sometimes they're not even touching the neck. Should it be over the neck, holding the low E? Blue Sunlit, I'm going to start that up. We're going to get to that. That's good. Who else do we have? PJ is working on picking strategies. Picking strategies is a deep course, my man. It's a very, very deep course. Mike Seedorf says, great video at Andon's this past Saturday. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's a lovely shoot. You know, they're lovely guys. Really, really welcoming. Very, very cool. I had fun. Hopefully we'll do some more in the future. That'd be pretty cool. Mark McNish, what did I miss? Just me chatting. So, you know, we'll get into the meat of stuff today. Here is where you can find our... Here we go. Here we can find the GI live stream hub. Go to this link. It's in the comments. Go find that. You'll find our GI Plus live stream hub. There you can post pictures of your guitars and I can look at them, which will make me happy. You can post your playing. You can chat to each other. That's the place to be. We're working on a forum for you guys, right? But we want it to be good. So we're taking our time and building it. We're not just going to launch any old terrible forum because we want it to have some cool features. So we're working on that. But for the time being, the private Facebook group is the place to go. Who else do we have? Brain Dog is in the house. Hey, Nick and chatters. I think that includes me too. It's great to have you back, man. Mike Buns says, hi, first time, be gentle. Mike, it's great for you to join us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully we're going to come across some really cool stuff that can help your playing today, especially your left-hand stuff. So we've got a question. We've got another couple of things that people are working on. I'm just going to highlight this. Trying to get Sam Bell's PG Tech Session 2 standing up. Ooh, interesting. The standing up versus sitting down thing. That is, it's something people don't think about unless you play in a band, and then suddenly you have to do your stuff standing up. Now, me personally, you guys have probably noticed I wear my guitar reasonably high. I feel like Paul Reed Smith have this really great like kind of cutaway right here, where if you get this just in your rib cage, it puts everything in the right place, and also you get to flex while you play. So you know, if you're a meathead, you get to look large with the guitar, which is kind of fun. Also, just want to take a quick moment and highlight this one. Our friend Bernard Gagnon is working on I think they're starting the Shrapnel Tech session with Jamie Humphries. Know very little about that style. It's a great introduction to the wonderful world of shrapnel shredders, man. You should check it out. And you should also do a deep dive on YouTube into the shrapnel shred thing. Probably the best place to go is if you look for old REH videos and just pick the guys with the really big hair. So we want George Lynch. George Lynch was never really a shrapnel guy, but we want early Richie Kotzen. Who else do we want? Was Michael Romeo a shrapnel guy? Sean Lane wasn't a shrapnel guy, but he's kind of lumped in with that bunch for sure. And then you have like the big names. You have Satch and Steve Vai and all the guys that kind of spun off from that. Paul Gilbert was a shrapnel guy for a very brief period of time. I think Yngwie was there for a cup of coffee. Very, very cool. You guys should check that out. Anyone called Lynch, Steve Lynch, for example, right, is another fine example. Steve Lynch, if you guys don't know, is just like the man for two-handed tapping stuff. So yeah, for sure. Sacred Godslayer has a question. We're going to throw this up here. Okay, question since it's fretting hand. How do I improve fingering past the 15th fret? I always go with baritones and likes because I feel my fingers less cramped in little space. I am with you, my man. I have big old mitts. Yeah, big old mitts. I am going to set you guys a quick challenge here. We're going to talk about some courses in a second. I'll answer this question when we get back, but here's a quick challenge, right? I want you to grab your guitars if you haven't done so already, and what I want you to do is I want you to play me a scale. It can be any scale that you want. I want you to play it from bottom to top, and I want you to pay attention to what's going on with your first finger, right? So here's a couple of options. Let's go to the close-up cam. Oh, by the way, I want to show you this now, by the way. We have a dedicated pick and hand cam, just in case, right? Dedicated pick and hand cam. That will be there all the time now, so if we need pick and hand close-ups, it's there. Hooray, technology. That came from last week. But anyway, if we take a scale, let's say, for example, we took G major, like this. Delay, that's a bit annoying, so let's turn that off again. There it is. I want you to pay attention to what goes on with your first finger. I want you to try picking and legato, and I want you to post in the comments whether your first finger stays on until you leave the string, like this, or whether your first finger lifts as soon as it's done, like this. Post in the comments whether your finger stays on or whether it lifts off, and when we come back from this, we're going to dive into that as our kicking off point. But for the time being, this is a look at one of the courses that you may get a kick out of. This is one we haven't talked about that much, but it bears looking at with a left hand sort of stuff. We haven't talked about that much recently. This is Expressive Techniques Part 1. Take a look at this. When we come back, we'll talk about your fretting hand. Hi guys, Nick Jennison with Guitar Interactive and GI+. Does your playing sound like this? When really you'd like it to sound like this? Now, the difference between these two examples are not the notes that are being played, but rather the way the notes are being played. I'm sure you've heard this before. Guitar players will say to you, it's not what you play, it's how you play it. And when it comes to creating interesting, emotive, and musical sounding guitar lines, that is very much the case. And in this course, Expressive Techniques Part 1, we aim to equip you with the tools to sound more musical, more emotive, more interesting, and ultimately more expressive on the guitar. And we are going to do this by exploring the three principal left-hand expressive techniques, which are slides, bends, and vibrato. I'm going to show you the mechanics of these techniques and how you can execute them cleanly, efficiently, and reliably. I'll also give you some exercises
to help develop these techniques, and we're also going to discuss some musical applications, how you might use these techniques in your own playing. We're going to go into great depth with that stuff, and I'm also going to give you a solo study, a piece of music I've prepared, and I'm going to encourage you and kind of guide you through the process of applying expression to an otherwise expressionless and bare sounding piece of guitar playing. So at the end of this course, you are going to be able to take otherwise uninteresting and fairly dry pieces of music and turn them into expressive, colourful musical lines, and you're also going to be able to take this and apply it to your own playing or to other people's music that maybe you're playing and you want to express in your own way. This is Expressive Techniques Part 1. My name is Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive GI+. I hope you'll join me. I will see you in there.
So that's a look at Expressive Techniques Part 1. You can get that as part of your GI Plus membership. We're doing another one. There are more coming, so make sure you've got that one under your fingers, because you may need it when it's time to get to the next one, but that's another story for another day. So we've had some great comments from you guys already regarding what's going on with your first finger. You guys are all clued in on this stuff as well, which is cool. So a lot of you mentioned Tom Quayle's excellent lesson on the subject of lazy first finger syndrome. It is really quite something, but it's something that guitar players kind of fall foul of, myself included. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to quickly highlight this. Do not be sorry for a great pun, right? It was a fabulous pun. This is a very British thing. Somebody makes a great pun, we react and we go, oh my god, so painful. But what we actually mean is like, that's incredible. I love that pun. It's a great pun. It was fabulous. So do not be sorry. It was really good. Oh yeah, please like the video, by the way, guys. Give us a thumbs up. So anyway, you're right. So you guys have a reasonable mix, but for the most part, you guys lift your first finger. So Tony Gonzalez stays on. David Yates has a bit of a mix. It stays, but it loosens. That's fascinating because that is a very, very insightful look at what's actually going on there. It kind of breaks with that binary of off or on. It's like, well, it's off, but it's loose. That's pretty cool. We like that. Rod C14 stays on. PJ lifts most of the time. Blue Summerlin lifts off. Keith MOF lifts off. Mark McNish says lifts, but I'm trying to use it more for noise reduction. That's interesting. Christopher Taft lifts off. Brain Dog says if it's stressed by a stretch, it goes. I try and deactivate it as soon as possible, says Cowcat. Very interesting indeed. Sacred Godslayer says, I followed Tom Quayle's hints about the first finger for sure. Don't worry, it's not going to be a spoiler if you share this in the comments. You guys can help each other out. We like it. It's a collaborative thing. I'm not just, you know, it's not just a teacher-student relationship here. We can chat. We're all guitar players. So yeah, don't worry about that. That's okay. Tony Gonzalez says, the lazy first finger. Well, we'll get into that. Steve McD lifts off. Sacred Godslayer says, don't want to spoil that next lesson. Don't worry about that, man. That's cool. What else do we have? Brain Dog. We'll get to that, man. Oh yeah, and Brad Stout says, love these sessions. Brad, thank you so much, man. We love having you along. Well, I'll say it again. We love having you along. It's a pleasure. Don Collar says, all of my fingers are lazy. Well, if I remember rightly, we had a bit of a breakthrough in the picking technique last week, so maybe we can get one on the fretting technique too. Mike Seedorf says, lift off and stay depends on the string. That's fascinating. That's really, really interesting. So here's the thing, right? I feel like the first finger thing is indicative of some problems that we tend to fall into as guitar players, and some hangovers from classical guitar technique that aren't necessarily applicable to the electric guitar, but I think it can get oversimplified. So you may be familiar with this idea that when you play, you should have your first finger, or any finger for that matter, that you're not using clear of the fretboard at any given time, right? Maybe you've come across this before. This is not what Tom says in his lessons. Tom is more nuanced than that, but this is kind of a bit of an oversimplification.
of an overcorrection for a common technical problem. Let's just do some stuff together, right? What I want you guys to do, we're going to take, we're going to go to a clean sound. Let's just flip to a clean sound real quick. I'm going to go to this one here. This is quite fun, easy clean sound. We're going to go to the close-up cam. Right, we're going to play some stuff together. What I want you to do is I want you to take your first finger. I want you to park it on the 4th fret of the low E string. Do this with me, right? So, first finger parked on the low E string on the 4th fret. And what I want you to do with fingers 2 and 4, we're going to play frets 5 and 7 on the E string, A string, D string, G string, B string, and high E string. We're going to continue fretting this first finger note all the way through this, and we're going to see what happens, which gives us this. Let's try that and we'll see how it feels, right? So what I want you guys to do is I want you to do this. I want you to pay attention to a few things while you do it. I want you to pay attention to what's going on in your thumb. I want you to pay attention to what's going on in the muscles of your wrist, whether they tighten up or whether they stay loose. We're going to play this little walking exercise together. You can play it at speed with me, or you can play it at your own tempo. It doesn't really matter. And we're going to go like this. Now I'm going to try it without that first finger parked, and we'll see what happens. Now, I don't know about you, but when I have my first finger parked, it's tempting to start to creep a little bit of tension into my thumb and also into the rest of the hand. And this is kind of what's meant by this lazy first finger syndrome, I think. It's not necessarily that the first finger being down is a problem. It's that when it's down, these other things that are problematic start to occur. So we start to get thumb tension, we start to get wrist tension, and these are things that are maybe not super conducive to relaxed guitar playing, if that makes sense. Let's do another exercise here. So what I want to do, here's the deal, right? So we do want to be able to lift our first finger or any finger when we're not using it. But we also have to be able, as guitar players, we have to be able to play fluidly with fingers on the fretboard, i.e. we have to be able to move around a static finger. So that's a skill that we need to develop too. So we'll get to that in a second. But first of all, let's just back out of that a little bit and let's talk about what it means to have an efficient fretting technique. So real quick, your fretting technique, let's just summate that and we'll talk about some key points here. So your fretting technique is what happens when you bring the string in contact with the fret, which shortens the string's length, raises its pitch, and allows us to play stuff that's not just this. If you want to play Nothing Else Matters and only get as far as the intro loop all day long, you don't need a fretting hand, that's fine. But if you want to play anything else other than the worst sounding E minor 11 chord in the world, why is this so great? And this is so terrible. Just one of those things. I guess we're just used to that sound of being awful. So we need to be able to fret notes. We need to be able to do it in a way that allows us to play fluidly, cleanly, accurately, and all that sort of stuff. So we're looking for a few performance points here. What we're looking for is we're looking for a fretting technique that uses the least effort for the cleanest fretting result. So what this generally involves, it generally involves using a part of the finger that is most able to transmit the force or the weight of your arm into the string. So the way we generally do this is we use the tip of the finger. However, what we generally don't do is use the very, very tippy tip of the finger, because there are some other considerations too. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So generally speaking, we don't use the absolute apex of the finger to fret notes. You may think, hey, that's a great idea, we should do that, but there are some muting considerations too. We also need to be able to mute strings. So there is a slight balance here between finding the tip of the finger, but also allowing a little bit of finger skin to dampen strings that we're not using. So that's part of our muting technique. So what we might find is we might play around with this and find a repeatable point where we're using the bone of our finger, we've talked about the bone before, at such an angle that allows us to get our fingers cleanly on the fretboard, but also allows us just a little bit of touch on the adjacent strings so that we can dampen them. Now this is useful, this is something that is beneficial to us, right? So we can play around with that. Now we also need to discuss whereabouts on the string
we fret. Now, here's an interesting observation that we talked about a while ago, which is the business of fretting right up close to the string. You guys let me know in the comments, by the way. Let me know right now if you fret right up on the fret, if you're a little bit further back, or somewhere in between. I want you to play a scale and just observe this. We're going to play it together, right? And I want you to tell me whether you play right up here. You can play any scale you want. I'm going to play G major. Whether you play way right close to the fret, or whether you play a little bit further back, or whether it's somewhere in between, right? So you may probably not here, but let's play some stuff together, right? I'm going to throw some drums on. I'm going to play G major top to bottom. We'll do it at a fairly conservative 110 BPM. That seems like a good place. Why not? Let's throw some drums on. We're playing 2 backing tracks all at once. And let's see where you guys get to, right? So if I play... So some of you guys are right on top of the fret. Some of you guys are a little further behind. If you look at the way I'm playing this, I generally play a little further behind the fret than is often recommended. And I'll tell you why in a second. Let's go to the pick and hand cam. Let's see if I can show you what I mean up here. See if that's any clearer. So there's right up on the fret. Here's a bit further back. So right up on the fret. Let's go up into the dusty end. Let's go. Let's get a bit further back. So some of you guys are all on top of the fret. Some of you guys are a little further back from the fret. I'm going to talk to you about where I like to position my finger if I can, and how I actually get it to work, because here's another thing, like, you can't really consciously control this, certainly not at speed. So I don't think that pick and hand cam helped at all, by the way. I just wanted to use it because I've set it up. So anyway, I'm of the opinion that fretting way right on top of the fret is probably not the move, because I don't think it really affects our efficiency whether we play right on the fret or whether we play just a tiny bit further back on a well set up electric guitar. On a guitar that is painful to play, it is definitely easier to get right up on the fret. But on a guitar that's well set up, I mean, this guitar doesn't have a hugely low action. It's pretty, I guess it's like maybe a little over 1 mil, so it's quite low. And then 1.5 mil over here. I have 10s, pretty tall frets too, but either way, generally speaking, I find, just listen to the tone real quick, right? If we play right up on the fret wire, we tend to roll our finger, the flesh of the finger, just a wee tiny bit over the top of the fret wire, which can dampen our tone a little bit. Let's just take a listen to that again. So here we go. Right up on the fret wire. A little bit further back. A little bit of clearance. On the fret. A little bit of clearance. On the fret. Bit of clearance. Now you may be going, I don't play that close on the fret that it dampens out. I'm going to throw you with some distortion as well, because it does make a difference if you're playing with drive 2. Let's go to this sound. Why not? Right close up on the fret. A little further back. See how the top end opens up? Let's go to the bridge pickup. Now, here's the deal, right? I'm not suggesting that if you play right on top of the fret, you're always going to have a muddy tone, but the likelihood of having that muddy tone happen is much greater, because we're imprecise animals. We're human beings, right? So we do have some variation in our technique, and that's normal. If you are way, way right on top of that fret, there is a possibility that you'll start to get that slight muddying effect. And I found this in my own playing. And it's something I tried to iron out, because I got it in my head that playing right up on top of the fret would make my guitar playing life easier. And I wondered why my tone was always a bit darker than my friends. I couldn't quite figure it out. And it's because I was fretting way on top of the fret. So here's how I get this, right? Now, you can't micromanage this stuff, but what you can do is you can focus on sensations. So what I try and do with this is I try and fret in such a way that I try not to feel the wood of the fretboard if I can avoid it. So I try and avoid touching the wood, and I imagine myself playing on the string, but not on the wood. And I like to imagine myself almost as if the frets were like obstacles in a Ninja Warrior course, right? So the water is down here, that's the wood. The frets are up here, and I'm trying to just stay on top of that fret, but not on top of the water. I also try not to actually touch the fret. If I feel the fret, I'm like, that's too far. So I try not to touch the fret. I try and just feel the string. So I don't feel wood, I just feel string. And if I focus on just feeling that sensation of string, things get a little easier. I also try and focus. The fretboard is lava, says Sacred Cutler. The fretboard is sharks, says Sam Bell. For sure. The water is lava. The lava is water. The sharks are lava. The lava is sharks. Yeah, that's the deal, right? So I try and focus on that sensation if I feel like I need to dial it in, which sometimes I do. So sometimes there's a correction needs to go on. If things aren't quite working, I'll work on that. So that's our rules for fretting efficiently. Now, we also need to be able to move our fingers efficiently. This is going to involve a few things. It is going to involve this business of not moving too far away from the fretboard. We've talked about that before. I think a lot of that is more down to just like not doing huge moves with your hand and not ending up in positions that are difficult to get back from, but I don't think it's as important as you might think. People feel like they want to play with this like tiniest of, I can't even do it, this absolute tiniest and most efficient of movements. I can't even do that. It doesn't make sense. For me, I always have a bit more movement in my playing. I think as long as it's repeatable, I don't think it's a huge problem. So we're not going to worry about that. But what I do want to talk to you guys about is I want to talk to you about your capacity to play against static fingers. This is where things get a little interesting, right? So we're going to do some stuff and we're going to test you. And I'm going to feed you an exercise that may just change the way you think about playing the guitar. Now, you can scale this as much as you want, but we're going to start with a really quite challenging one. This is going to essentially be the counter to the lazy first finger syndrome thing. Now, I will say, just want to say this, I'm not saying it's a counter because I think Tom is wrong. Tom is right. He's absolutely correct, right? But I also think a valuable skill is being able to play with a finger on and being able to do stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to park our first finger and we're going to park it on the G string and we're going to park it on the 5th fret. From here, we're going to play some little combinations of fingers from the 5th fret up to the 8th fret. Let's just play it together. We'll throw some drums on. Easiest thing in the world. We're going to make sure that we can fret this nice and cleanly. Let's go. Frets 5, 6, 7, 8. Do this with me, just to calibrate your fingers. We're going to take a quick peek and make sure everything is where it should be. Make sure it feels good. We're feeling string but not fret, and we're feeling string but not fretboard. Feeling fretboard, you either shot off the end of the string or you're pressing a bit too hard and things will go a bit weird. That should feel pretty good. Okay, now, here's the exercise. With your first finger parked on the 5th fret G string, we're going to keep that finger there. And then we're going to play fingers 2, 3, 4 on D string, fret 6, 7, 8. This is a Nick Harrison exercise, right? Nick showed me this. This is a simplified version of it, but so I'm not going to feed you the full one because I don't want to completely plagiarize this exercise, but it's so good. I wanted to share it with you. Nick's cool with me sharing this stuff because it's good. You should go and check out the Contemporary Guitar Performance Workshop, by the way, if you haven't done so already. That's Nick Harrison's project. Really great stuff. Quite high-minded, but very, very good. I found it very useful, transformative in my own guitar playing. So anyway, parking that here, right? We're going to play with this held in position, frets 6, 7, 8 on the G string, D string rather, and then 6, 7, 8 on the B string. It'll give us this. We're going to play. That first finger is staying in place the whole time. And as if that wasn't enough, we'll walk our way back down. So we get 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6. Let's try that together. We're going to try the tempo, see how it treats you, right? And I want you to let me know in the comments if you can do this or if it just goes, oh my God, what is this? This is terrible. So let's try it together. Really good exercise. Here we go. Ready? 3, 4. Are you able to do this? Are you able to keep your first finger on and walk these around? You should be able to do this, but should is not the same as can. So maybe this is something to work on. And this is the essence of a lot of, I guess, chord melody guitar playing, but also you want to play classical guitar, this is kind of it. But it's also a very useful skill. Now, you can't do this if you have a great deal of fretting tension in your first finger. So we're going to try and keep the first finger nice and relaxed if we can. Did you guys get it? Let me know in the comments, right? Drop me a comment, let me know if you got that. If you could play that, great. If you couldn't, that's an exercise to work on. Now, let's do some more variations. We'll do the same thing again, but this time, second finger is going on the 6th fret, G string. And we're going to play 5, 7, 8 on the D string, and then also on the B string, and then back down again. It'll give us this. Marcin says, easy. Cowcat says, no problemo. Good. It's about to be a problemo. Let's put the second finger down. Let's see how this treats us. You guys are great guitar players, so you'll probably be okay with this, right? Blue Cinema managed that too. That's good. Okay, so let's go with our second finger static. Let's play. Here we go. How's this treating you? Let me know in the comments. Is this better or worse? Better or worse than that first finger static exercise? This should be trickier. Cowcat says, damn. I read that in Ron Simmons' voice. If you guys know who Ron Simmons is, let me know in the comments, right? Fellow 90s wrestling fans, unite. Anyway, so yeah, second finger, that's tough. You know what's coming next, right? We're putting third finger down. Cowcat, Sacred God says, I can do it, but didn't expect middle finger to have the worst time. I expected ring or pinky finger. Ooh, Mike Seedorf says worst. Yeah, dude, 100% worse on the second finger. Oops, making mistakes for sure. Let's do third finger. Here we go. Third finger's down on there, right? Third finger static. You know how this is going to run. We're going to play 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. Let's try that, right? Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. So third finger is static. We're walking fingers 1, 2, and 4. This is challenging. It should be quite challenging. Deliberately so. Third finger should stay static. This is one that really trips a lot of people. This third finger one is probably the worst of the bunch for whatever reason. I don't know why. I think it's because we're so used to moving the third finger, but it's very tough. Very, very tough, right? So let's see. Let's see. Just a Ray says, I know Ron Simmons. I actually read that as I know Ron Simmons personally. I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, can you get a photo? Not personally, but yeah. Christopher Taft says, yikes. 100% yikes. This is tough, right? This is very high level stuff. It's very challenging. We're going to do one more. We're going to park our fourth finger. I'm crippled, lol, says Mike Seedorf. Wrist doesn't like it, says Keith MOF. Keith, tell me what's going on with the wrist, right? Is the wrist tightening? Does it hurt? It shouldn't hurt. If it hurts, stop. Just stop. Second finger was crap, but third is okay. Interesting. Very interesting. What else do we have? Let's do one more. Let's do fourth finger, right? If it hurts, stop. It's all I'll say. If it hurts, stop. But don't consider that to be a problem. Consider it to be a flag, a symptom of a problem, I guess. So don't worry about it. Don't hurt yourself, whatever you do, because, you know, we want to keep playing for the day. You won't do yourself any damage doing this, by the way. Just throwing that out, right? Okay, so pinky finger goes here. We're going to walk fingers 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You'll probably be surprised at how easy this one is. So, but let's try it. Drums on. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now again, this is like level 1 of this stuff. It gets deeper, but I'm not going to show you the deeper stuff because I don't want to just like totally baffle you guys with this sort of thing. I want to see if we can actually make some productive stuff with this. That makes sense? Let me know if the fourth finger is easier than the second or third finger. Fourth finger static generally is a little easier for whatever reason. Fixed pinky is okay, except I have muted the B string. That's interesting. Not terrible. No way, says Cranker Tom. So we've got a bit of a mixed bag here. Third finger harder, fourth finger good. Excellent. Fixed pinky is okay, except I've muted the B. I struggle with that too, right? I struggle with the muted pinky finger because I have a very short pinky finger. Like, just look at this, right? By the way, just going to show you this now. So if I line my third finger up on the fret, the fret wire on the low E string. Like, my pinky finger reaches the B string. It's really short, right? It's just crazy short. So I get the muting B string issue. That is a problem for me too. I got little tiny pinkies for whatever reason. So here's the deal, right? What this will reveal in your playing is a few things. It's going to reveal, first of all, just a lack of having done this, a lack of having practiced this sort of thing, and that's okay. So, these are new skills, so they will feel weird. It's like riding a bike. It feels really friggin' strange until you get the hang of it, and then you're off to the races. So that's a revelatory thing, but what it also reveals is it reveals where you hold tension and when. So if you find that you're experiencing tightness or a squeezing of your fingers going on, that is revealing to me that you're holding tension as we move through these various exercises. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to try and like hyper zone in on like, oh, you do this stretch or you do this thing to release tension. What I'm going to encourage you to do instead is I'm going to encourage you to try and play this with as much relaxation as you can. And the way you're going to get it is you're not going to try and make this exercise happen. Don't force it to happen. Imagine what it's going to look like. Just take this real quick, right? So I want you to take this third finger one, which was awful for everybody, right? Third finger goes down. In fact, let's take the second finger. That was universally the worst one, right? Take the second finger, just to hold that down static. And I want you to imagine for a second, take a second, and just imagine what it would feel like to play this with the utmost relaxation. Just touch the strings. Don't even fret them. Just touch them in the order you want them to go in. Just touch them. Right, we're going to throw the drums on. I want you just to very quickly, without trying to make this happen, just observe yourself playing it very, very relaxed. Give yourself permission to not fret the notes properly. Give yourself permission to make mistakes. It's okay. We're not going to try and make it happen. We're just going to watch ourselves do it, right, and see what occurs, right? And you're going to watch it in the same sense as a loving parent watching a child learning to walk. You're not going to try and make the child walk. You're just going to watch it walk. And if it falls over, well, that's okay. You're going to give it some words of encouragement and go, hey, let's try again. So as lightly as we can, very, very gently, let's try going. Touching really gently. Focus your attention on the sensation of lightness in the hands. Lightness in the hand, and also just touching the string like we talked about, where you feel string but not fret and string but not wood. See if that feels any better. Now, here's a question. Did that feel any better? Those of you who tried it, when we tried not to make it happen, but when we tried just to let it happen, if that makes sense. Did that feel any better? It immediately felt better for me. And this is part of where tension comes from. It's when we're confronted with things we haven't practiced, we develop this desire, this innate desire to, there we go, much better. Marcine says much better. Boy smashed out against the table, says Cow Cow. Please don't do that. That's not what we want. Oh, unless you mean in the kid walking, then yeah, don't do that. Better magic, says Steve McD. Hey, there you go. We like this, right? So what happens here is basically when we are confronted with techniques that are new to us, that we, I'm not going to say that we struggle with, but new techniques that we are on first pass at work, but then went back to muting the B. There's an interesting thing that happened there that I'm going to highlight, right? We're going to hold this. So those of you who experienced it being better, when we're confronted with things that we don't know how to do or we haven't done before, we kind of lose a little bit of trust in our own technique, and we feel like we want to get involved and control things. Here's the deal, right? For those of you who haven't, I'm going to encourage you to go and read a book called The Inner Game of Tennis by W. Timothy Galway. Really great stuff, published in the 1970s and has been like a seminal text for sports psychology forever, right? And it's all this sort of stuff, right? It's very, very valuable. You can get a great audiobook. Don't go and get The Inner Game of Music. Just throwing it out there. That exists, but it's not quite as good, I don't think. I feel like the original is the way to go. So, anyway, what was I saying? So basically there are two, if you want to think about it like this, there are basically two yous going on at any given moment. There is the you that is listening to me talk and thinking about writing something in the comments, comment below, thinking about giving this video a like, which you should absolutely do. And there is also the you that is currently keeping your heart beating, keeping you sitting up in your chair or standing up or whatever, that is keeping your liver secreting enzymes, reminds you to blink, all that complex stuff. And these are kind of separate processes, but I guess what happens is when the you that is capable of higher thought and is capable of things like performance anxiety, feeling pressure and oh God, I gotta play well. When that you wants to get involved in the technique process, i.e. when you're presented with a new skill like this, that's when everything kind of goes to shit, because you, the thinker, does not know how to operate the machinery, right? It is the other you, the one that is, not the female sheep, Craig, it's terrible. The other you, who is used to operating the machinery, who's actually doing the finger work here. So what we do is we just ask you, the doer, the other you, we ask it to do the thing that we want it to do, and we think very clearly about the thing that we want. We imagine what it's going to look like, imagine what it's going to feel like, and then we just let it happen. We let it occur, and then if it doesn't happen, no worries. We imagine again, and we try again. This is important stuff, but also this static finger thing, really, really important skill, right? And it's something that I want you to focus on, because it's not just going to improve your ability to play against static fingers. So if you ever want to do any of the beautiful clean stuff, like, do I have a lovely clean sound? Like all this kind of, like chord melody, not chord melody, but this kind of like, so on and so forth. Geez, there are some great jokes about sheep in the comment section. It's not just going to enhance your ability to play that stuff, right? It's going to enhance your ability to lift any given finger at any given time, no matter what your other fingers are doing. So it's going to improve your capacity to do all sorts of weird and wonderful, stretchy, legato-y stuff like this. Because I can basically put any finger wherever I want and lift the other ones up without getting tense, and that's kind of where that came from. I'll tell you one spot where I noticed it. I was trying some stuff for my album recently, and I spotted this little movement. That there, that became really quite simple, because being able to get that second finger on and not having to do this seemed to work a treat. And then same here. Being able to reserve certain fingers for certain frets, which everybody says that you should be able to do anyway, because you should. Like, this stuff really helped with that. So, yeah, some thoughts of the day. I am going to give you guys a quick second, if you have questions, to drop them down below, because once again, I've waffled on forever. So if you have questions, right, drop your questions in the comments. I want to show you this very quickly. This is our latest course. If you're into your technique stuff, this is Picking Strategies Part 1. You want this, right? This is, it's a course I'm really proud of. Spent ages collating this stuff, like not just putting the course together, but years distilling this from the work of a bunch of other great players and trying to put it in a format that actually made sense and you can actually follow along with. So yeah, drop your questions. This is Picking Strategies Part 1. When we come back, we'll be answering your questions.
Does your picking feel uncoordinated and sometimes you miss notes or fluff transitions from string to string, maybe a little bit like this? When in reality what you want is smooth and easy and transparent feeling picking, a bit like this. sold on the idea that there's one specific way that you have to pick on the guitar and everything else is wrong, but that particular cookie cutter approach just doesn't work for you. It feels unnatural. It almost feels like you're fighting your own body to try and make it work. Well, Picking Strategies Part 1 is the course for you. In this course, we explore the many different ways that you can form a full and complete and comprehensive picking approach by examining the various strategies used by some of the greatest pickers of all time. And there are a whole bunch of strategies out there, and I guarantee there is one that is going to work for your preferred picking mechanics, the way you prefer to stand or sit with the guitar, the type of guitar you play, the type of music you play. There is a strategy for you. We're going to explore all of them, and I'm going to show you how you can take a single solo study and play every line within it using all of the 6 picking strategies that we look at in this course. And of course, this entire course is available as part of your GI Plus membership. So if you're not signed up already, what better excuse do you need to sign up today?
It's Q&A time. So here, your questions answered. Was anybody else watching that trailer, by the way, and seeing when I lift my first finger off and when I keep it down? Interesting. It does seem to be, it's not all the time. Sometimes it stays on. Sometimes it's just easier to keep it on. Point with this is I have the capacity to take it off anytime I wanted to. Doesn't mean I always do. But that's interesting. That's fascinating in and of itself. So we have some great questions coming in. Really, really good ones. I want to throw you some stuff. So first of all, Marcine says, did I hear you say my album? Craig has rightly pointed out the Blitzkrieg album. Yeah, I'm working on a Blitzkrieg album right now, but I'm also working on another one on the side. So I have another band where I'm the singer. The band's called Saints of Arcadia. It's my baby. It's my favorite band. I don't have favorites, but out of all my bands, it's the one closest to my heart because I've done it for the longest, and it's music that's really like just me. So yeah, that's coming too. So yes, kind of my album. It's a band effort. It's not really my album, but I'm going to call it my album because why not? Also working on the Blitzkrieg album right now, which is what that one was from, that little excerpt. So some great questions, really, really great questions here. I'm going to highlight as many of them as we can. So we got some in. Just want to throw a few of these here. Oh God, let's get through as many as we can. So first of all, here we go. Frank hand thumb is all over the place. Blue Sumlin, sometimes not even touching the neck at all. Should it be over the neck holding the Louis? No, it doesn't need to be there. It needs to be somewhere where you can play comfortably and where you can accomplish the things you want to accomplish in the guitar. There are times when this is the most comfortable place to have the thumb. There are times when this is the most comfortable place to have the thumb. And there are times when, can I do this on this camera? There are times when this is the most comfortable place to have the thumb. Let me show you a little bit of this. So real quick, keep your eye on the thumb if you can. I'll do this. This is the pick and hand camera. So notice the thumb lifts a little bit. My thumb's all over the place too. Right, so I wouldn't worry about that. Wouldn't worry about that. It's kind of normal as long as you're not really squeezing with the thumb and really like pressing chronically, then you're probably good. Okay, here's one. Sacred Godslayer says, since it's about the fretting hand, how do I improve fingering past the 15th fret? I always seem to go with baritones, etc. Here's an interesting one. I've struggled with that too, because I've got quite large hands and quite, I guess, let me show you on this camera, quite rounded fingertips. Ooh, that's a nice bit of autofocus. Look at that. There you go. Thanks, Sony. Will it come back is the question. There it is. Look at that. So, yeah, quite rounded fingertips, I guess. Never used to. I think the more I've played, my calluses have become larger. So I'm bringing myself back in the shot here. So what I've found with this is I found that when I'm playing a little higher up, almost bumping against the previous fret kind of helps. So when I'm up here, I try and feel where possible, if I'm fretting this 19th fret, I'll try and feel the 18th fret. Also, what I've noticed is when we get a little bit higher, having a little bit more of an angle to the approach that we take on the guitar, i.e. coming in less like this and more like this, like in this kind of angle here, that can help too. But I think, again, feeling that sensation of the previous fret keeps us from being too on top of the next fret, because it can easily bump up against here if we're trying to play right on top of the fret, end up with that slightly dull tone that we don't want. So yeah, that's the way you might do it. You might think about bumping up against the previous fret. Let me know if that helps, because hopefully that's going to be a little cue that might work for you. So maybe it won't. Who knows? Maybe you should experiment with more stuff. Brain Dog has the opposite question. He wants to know how to get his fingers really far apart. How do you improve stretching? Well, this is a big question, and we're going to answer it as best we can. So first of all, we need two things. When we stretch, we need the ability to spread our hands quite far. We also need to be positioning ourselves to facilitate this. So the first and most obvious thing, I'm going to hide your questions so you can see stuff, but first and most obvious thing is going to involve dropping the wrist. So the more we can drop the wrist and the further we can get the wrist away from the guitar, even if it comes with the thumb being like here, we can get our fingers not spread further. But watch this, right? I want to show you this, right? Watch what happens if I spread my fingers to like this quite big interval here, right? So I've got 9, 12, 17 on the high E string, right? I'm going to keep my fingers in this position, but I'm going to bring my wrist closer to the fretboard. Look at where my knuckles are on this finger now. It's 10, 12, 16. I've lost a fret on either end. I haven't actually had to move my fingers any further out to make this stretch, because your fingers go out at angles, right? So if I'm here, but then I try and recreate that stretch here, I need to stretch a lot further than I do here to get that position. So having your wrist way, way down low is part one, right? Part one. And that's going to require some getting used to, because it's an awkward feeling, but that may help you stretching. Now, another thing with this is the way we improve our stretch in terms of being able to open the hand more is to do it gradually and with a graduated exposure. So what you would do with this is you would take a stretched exercise, you warm up thoroughly first, right? Make sure you warm before you do this. This is not a warm up. This is something to do once you have warmed up. So what you may do is you may take a stretched exercise like this, where you play, say for example, a 2 fret interval here, a 1 fret interval here, and then a 2 fret interval here. This is a common stretch. We generally don't stretch much between fingers 2 and 3. And we play it around here, and we'd move it down the fretboard I won't do this, it'll take forever. We move it down the fretboard until we feel a very small amount of discomfort. Just a stretch, not a painful stretch. It shouldn't feel awkward and just like really uncomfortable, but we should feel like, okay, I'm having to stretch to get this. What you'll feel is you'll feel it in between these little bones in your hand, right here, the bones inside the hand. You'll feel a stretch between those. This is opening up the hand. You'll practice this and try and progress it to lower and lower frets over time. And I don't mean over half an hour, I mean over a month, over several months, right? The aim here is to practice at the point where you just start to feel a stretch and a bit of discomfort. And lean into that and practice there. If you practice where you have no stretch, you won't improve your stretch. We need to have a degree of discomfort to make this work, but it should never feel painful, and it should never feel like you walk away going, oh my God, my hand is ruined, right? If that's the case, you probably haven't done any damage there and then, but you don't want to do that too much, because over time, that may lead to an overuse injury, which we don't want. So gradually progressing that stretch, That's the move. That's the way we do it. So yeah, hopefully that's helped. Okay, here's another one. Tips for using just enough tension to fret and sound a note, also landing your fingertip properly. Third is my issue, to fret easily. Sure, here's some good ones. Also, by the way, first time commenter, I think. Hey, thanks for coming. Thanks for your comment. I appreciate it. So, what you may do with this is, I really like, I don't think we have to worry about using just enough tension, as in like using the absolute minimum amount of tension. We just have to make sure we use little enough tension that we don't bring other unwanted tension into the hand. So what I like to do is I like to focus on that gentle feeling of touching the string, playing on the string, and not on the wood. So we don't touch the wood, we just touch the string. We bring the string in contact with the fret. We look for a nice light feeling, and we also focus on the part of the finger that we're feeling the string on. Really feel where the string contacts. And I want you to almost imagine that sensation before you go to fret a note. So before you go to fret a note here, you can imagine how it would feel to fret that note with just the right amount of pressure that you want. I want you to hold this mental sensation in your mind while you practice, and you can even do it as a corrective thing while you play. If you go, okay, let's focus on the tip of the finger and how it feels. Does it feel like I'm just playing the string? You'd be astonished how quickly this just automatically corrects itself when you do that sort of thing. So that's a tip. I would say it's a deeper subject that we'll definitely talk about. It's a very good question, man. Thanks for putting that in. Really appreciate that. Mark McNish says, I'm often touching my pickups with my pick, digging deeper than I intend to, and also moving to and fro between the pickups. Tips to fix. Sure. Being facetious, I would say, maybe your pickups are a little high, but if you like the pickups where they are, we're not going to play with that. So it could be that the pickups are just where they need to be. I guess if I tried to pick up my neck humbucker, it's kind of an issue. I know a lot of people don't like guitars with middle pickups for that issue. What I would suggest with this is, what you can do is you can use your thumb as a depth gauge for how deep you're holding the pick. I'm going to do this in the pick and cam, actually, and I'll show you what's going on here. So if I position my thumb like this, what I might do is I may calibrate this by getting my pick on the string, on the pickup. I'll use a purple pick so you can see. I've got a purple pick. In fact, I'll use a white pick. That might be even more visible. So many different colors of pick. So yeah, what we might do is we may calibrate it like this. I'll do it in a downstroke escape situation. I may put it there, and then slip the pick, so I'm holding it a little lower down, so that if my thumb is on the string, I just touch the pick up. Now what this means is if I hold the pick in this position, it means that if the thumb is just grazing the string and isn't pressing on the string, then I know I'm not going to make contact with the pickup. So the thumb becomes a gauge for pick depth. And you know that if the thumb is just grazing the string, you're going to clear the pickup. Hopefully that helps. That's a very good question, though. Hopefully that helps. So thumb is a depth gauge, and then paying attention to the perception of the string hitting your thumb. That's fascinating in itself. Muhammad Ali says, should I use regular alternate or maybe add pull off and hammer on as skipping a string with alternate could be another hurdle? You can definitely do that, and I do this myself. It's something we discussed in Picking Strategies Part 1, but you can definitely incorporate little escape strokes with the left hand. Like Malmsteen does this. It's this. That sounds like it's picked. It's not. Or at least some of it is. Watch the pick and hand cam for this, right? Can you see those stops and starts? You can definitely do that. And for string skipping, I do a lot of that hammer on to mask the transition. Loads and loads of it. Or hybrid picking's fun too. So yeah, good question, man. Good question. Look, let's see if we've got any more. There's loads of comments have come in while I've been addressing these ones. Justin Ray, Nick, what do you think of my band? Loved it. Did you guys all go and check out Justin's band, by the way? Right, Justin, post some links. We want some links, right? We want Spotify profiles, we want Facebook links, so you guys can all blow up Justin's band, right? Go check it out, right? What else do we have? yeah, but please do. Great stuff. I watched Tom Schultz lifting his first finger up last night. Spooky. I thought it was uncool. Interesting. Tom Schultz, great guitar player. Right, we're going to get a few more as we can. A few more if we can. We're running late, but we'll do it anyway. Bernard Gagnon says, I always feel like I have to unbalance my whole hand from my pinky to reach the fretboard after using the third. That's interesting. I do know what you mean. I think it could just be that's probably another story for another day. We probably need to get into that. A little deeper. So guys, there are so many great comments in. I would love to tackle them all, but we're already 10 minutes over time, and I'm getting the call that we need to stop. So we're going to kill it there. We're going to resume this as we go. So we have more streams. We're going to be tackling more of these technique fundamental questions as we go on. We're going to do a vote, right? We'll do a vote in the comment section. Do you want some more picking content next week, or do you want some hammer-on and pull-off content next week? Vote down below. Do you want picking? Do you want hammer-on and pull-offs? Right? You let me know. I'm going to jam out some more. I feel like as we're doing left-hand stuff, I did the Zeppelin jam in the intro. I'm going to do the Top Gun jam because it's here. The Top Gun jam is great fun. These are our backing tracks, by the way. They're available free on the Guitar Interactive YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe if you're not already. Go to this URL. Get some more guitar lessons. My name's Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive GI+. I will see you next week. Vote down below, legato or picking. In the meantime, let's jam. This is not what I thought it was going to be, but I'm going to play it anyway. Thanks for having me, guys. See you next week. In the meantime, this is what you get as part of your GI Plus membership. Check it out. My name's Nick Jennison, and it's a pleasure to introduce to you GI Plus, the brand new lesson platform brought to you by Guitar Interactive. We've assembled a team of the best players and educators in the world to bring you exclusive lessons covering everything from metal to blues to fusion and everything in between. Want to level up your shred chops? Check out How to Play Fast by Andy James. Or how about sweep picking with Rick Graham? Or maybe country's more your bag? Well, how about a full-length exclusive country guitar course from Andy Wood? Interested in learning how to play over changes? Well, members get access to hours of exclusive lessons from Fusion Maestro Tom Quayle. Or maybe you want your playing to sound more soulful. Well, who better than Chris Buck to show you how it's done? Or perhaps you want to learn the secrets of the masters. Well, members get access to over 60 feature-length tech sessions where our tutors painstakingly decode the styles of players like David Gilmour, Eddie Van Halen, John Petrucci, Larry Carlton, Slash, Tosin Abasi, Paul Gilbert, and many more. You
get all this along with exclusive live webinars, free backing tracks, competitions, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Sign up for GI Plus today.